WA children born through IVF are just as fit and healthy as their peers conceived naturally, according to landmark research released by the University of WA. IVF is responsible for 1 in 25 Australian births every year. Professor Roger Hart is at the forefront of this genetic study and joins us now. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Monica. Thanks so much for having me.
Tell us about this research. It's looked at and compared the genetics of hundreds of WA teens.
Yes, so Monica, it's very unique. What this is on the back of some preliminary data that suggests that children born from IVF may be at increased risk of later adverse health outcomes. So what we did was we looked at what's called epigenetics. Epigenetics is the way we control the expression of genes within our chromosomes. And it's believed that potentially the embryo would be very vulnerable. As you mentioned, it's grown in culture medium in the laboratory, maybe frozen, so may be particularly vulnerable to potential harm, putting the child at increased risk of health outcomes later. So this is what we did. We set out, we got some NHMRC grant money from the government, and a few years ago we set about this prospective study, and we were very fortunate to be able to use the RAIN study, which is a children born in 1990 that have been followed up that are naturally conceived, and we were able to compare them therefore to a normal population in Western Australia. So we had 231 IVF children born at the turn of the century, and we studied them at about 15 and a half years of age, and we compared them to the standard reference West Australian children. And obviously we were anxious about the results, so we did many studies. This is the first of our studies that we have published, but we were looking at other aspects of their health, but we wanted to look at their genetics, because
the results are particularly interesting. Previous studies have found that IVF children might be more prone to heart disease, diabetes and even cancer. But does this new research support or dispel those findings?
Well, this is encouraging because what this shows is there was no difference in the expression of our genes. So consequently, we do not believe that this will lead to them being at greater risk of adverse health outcomes, because the previous studies have been very small, and so this is a very reassuring study that their expression of their genes was no different to naturally conceived children in Western Australia.
Well, no doubt this news will be well received by Perth's IVF families. What is the future looking like? Will these children be assessed again as they get older?
Absolutely. So we would hope in maybe 10 years' time to be able to do that again. But we'll be publishing later this year and next year where we've studied their heart, their thyroid, and risk of diabetes. But this early data we've got now looks very reassuring, that the fact that the IVF children will be very, very similar to their naturally conceived counterparts.
Exciting and encouraging news for many, for sure. Professor Roger Hart, good to speak with you today.
And thank you very much, Monica. Thank you.